that autism spectrum disorder affects children from the age group of 2 and onwards. Now we have another thing called virtual autism. जो autism spectrum disorder है, कुछ बच्चों के अंदर by birth नहीं दिखाई देता है. Now in past 5 years since COVID hit, children exposure to screen. Now what to do in those children? Sometimes parents still believe that it is over excess of screen time. It is excess of watching an unlimited screen. So you need to start becoming aware of how do you spend your time. If you take time out and take your children out to the mall, to the play area, to the parks, you spend time reading books to them, you spend time talking to them or playing with them games and board games or other fun games, then they will naturally start becoming interested in those games. And if it is autism spectrum disorder, then you get the right help at the right time. Hello everybody, my name is Surabhi Verma. I'm founder director Sparsh for Children. The organization works with children with autism, learning difficulties, ADHD and various other neurological disorders. We have been working with children since 2005. And today the topic that we are going to talk about is virtual autism. As we all know, that autism spectrum disorder affects children from the age group of 2 and onwards. Now it affects children with having difficulties in social skills, communication skills and flexibility in their thinking process. Now we have another thing called virtual autism. जो autism spectrum disorder है वो कुछ बच्चों के अंदर by birth नहीं दिखाई देता है. That means that, and that is why I said that 2 years is a very important marker for our children on the spectrum. बहुत बारी parents मेरे पास आते हैं when they say that till 1.5 years the children were talking very well. They were saying, they were looking, they were responding to name, they were following instructions. In fact, they could pick up 1 or 2 words and could repeat, they could identify parents, and something in the environment triggered and the child stopped speaking. Now in past 5 years since COVID hit, the children exposure to screen, although it was there earlier also, children were exposed to screen for quite number of hours. But during COVID period, because both the parents were working, a lot of our children were exposed to more than usual screen time. More than usual, what I mean is 8 hours of screen time every day, more than 5 hours, 6 hours of continuous screen time. We had parents who have come in and said, and even after COVID, has receded or it does not affect us, we are back to our normal life self. But what I have observed is that a lot of parents to make it easy for the children to sit, for the children to eat food, for the children to manage children per se, the easy way out has become screen time. Whether it is mobile games on mobile, various songs on mobile, or putting it up on the television. Surprisingly, even when the child is 6 months old or 7 months old, I see on the airport and other restaurants that the easiest way is put a screen and just let the child watch the screen while the parents are sitting and having food. It has become a very normal cultural thing for many of us, and in that case, and we have to be very careful if only for eating time for some children you're putting the screen on, or is it a everyday thing? Is the child watching screen non-stop for 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours in a day? Many parents have come back and said that suddenly their children have stopped speaking, they have stopped responding, they have very limited social skill, they in fact don't enjoy interacting with other children, they have become, they have short attention span, they prefer to be on their own in the screen, with the screen, and if the screen is taken away, they become extremely aggressive, they become cranky, they stop eating food, they stop talking. So these are all the things that, you know, affect the children. And more parents with working mothers and you know, less help at home, you know, children, it's just the easy way to watch the screen and just let the child be, while the parent or you know, even the help in the house or the child's nanny finds it an easy way to, you know, just to do her work and make the child sit in front of the screen. Now this has affected a lot of children, and they do sometimes show symptoms of autism spectrum disorder. So it is not a myth, it is a reality. There is something called virtual autism, where children do stop responding to other people, they do stop you know, giving eye contact, but but we have to remember that there are many children who have spectrum, you know, autism spectrum, because autism spectrum is by birth. It is not that it can be induced later. So where is the difference? The difference lies that if you stop the screen, if they make the child go out, play, bring back the normalcy, you have identified the child has, you know, is behaving odd, या वो नहीं हमारी बात सुन रहा है, and suddenly red flags are going everywhere. So a child who has virtual autism, if you take the child out in the park, you start playing with the child, you start interacting, you remove the screen completely, and in some cases provide a little bit of therapy so that extra input goes. They go in for various classes, some sports classes, skating, they start going to play school, interacting with other children. Many children slowly come back to the normal level. Yes, there are certain lags, but yes, you will see that slowly and steadily they're coming back to the normal skill set. The children have suddenly started becoming interested in playing with games. They have started becoming interested in playing with toys again, because the screen has disappeared. Now, there are many children who, despite doing this, do not come back to the regular, normal, mainstream behavior. Now, what to do in those children? Sometimes parents still believe that it is over excess of screen time. It is excess of, you know, watching an unlimited screen. What is the right way? And, you know, therefore, there are sometimes mothers carry a guilt, you know, or parents feel very guilty of not being aware and not spending that much time. So, the best thing at this point of time is, first, if it is autism spectrum disorder, one thing you need to remember is, even if you would not have exposed your child to the screen at all, this autism would still have affected the child. ऐसा नहीं है कि स्क्रीन दिखाई इसलिए ऑटिज्म हो गया. ऑटिज्म को yes स्क्रीन ने इंस्टिगेट कर दिया, या स्क्रीन नॉन स्टॉप 5 आवर्स 7 आवर्स 10 आवर्स देखने से ऑटिज्म शायद उसकी वजह से वो ट्रिगर हो गया, मगर वो कॉज नहीं है ऑटिज्म का, राइट. सो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट उसके अंदर जैसे ही आपको पता लग रहा है कि स्क्रीन टाइम एक्सेस हो रहा है, पहले तो स्क्रीन टाइम को एक्सेस होने नहीं देना है. सो इफ योर चाइल्ड इज वॉचिंग स्क्रीन एवरी डे फॉर 5 आवर्स 6 आवर्स, देन यू नीड टू इमीडिएटली टेक एक्शन. तो उसको आपको ब्रिंग डाउन करना है. एवरी डे हाफ एन आवर 15 मिनट्स, देयर इज नो हार्म. अगर हम टीवी के अंदर सब टीवी देखते हैं, और हमें ये ध्यान जरूर रखना है कि हर बच्चा जो स्क्रीन देख रहा है 10 घंटे, हर बच्चे को ऑटिज्म नहीं हो रहा है. सो देयर हैज टू बी समथिंग डिफरेंट. कुछ अलग बच्चे के अंदर ऑलरेडी है, जिसकी वजह से स्क्रीन जो है वो उसके ऊपर एक लेयर और ऐड करके उसको ज्यादा प्रोमिनेंट बना रही है. सो यस, मेनी चिल्ड्रन हु हैव ऑटिज्म, स्क्रीन टाइम triggers it. Many children who are regular children, they become a little more hyperactive, they become a little more overactive, short-tempered, they have behavior challenges because of the excess of screen time. So what do we need to do, and what are the things that we need to remember when we are when we are interacting with our children? First, as I said, screen time has to be minimal. Sometimes, yes, you are out, you want to control the child for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's okay to show the screen, it's okay if the child is watching some videos with the friends, but you also have to be very conscious conscious कि after a while you switch it off. After that one point of time, the child is encouraged to play with other people. So therefore, the screen time cannot be more than 30 minutes. If you can restrict it to number of days, that would be great, like 4 days in a week for 30 minutes, 4 days in a week for an hour, that is all right, but non-stop, it's not okay. Initially, some children have feeding issues, some children parents don't have time to feed the child. So initially, they switch on rhymes, they switch on. So at that point of time, what I suggest is auditory songs. They are much better than visual songs. So if you have to engage the child, it is always better if you put on a music that the child can listen to and can engage with you meaningfully rather than putting on the screen. बट अगर हम सिर्फ इतने टाइम के लिए, ईटिंग टाइम के लिए या मे बी कोई स्पेसिफिक टाइम ऑफ द डे है, उसके अंदर अगर हम स्क्रीन टाइम को रिस्ट्रिक्ट करें, देन इट्स ऑल राइट. You don't need to carry that guilt with you. Eventually, once the child starts going to the play school, child starts interacting with other people, learns to go out and play in the park, automatically screen time starts decreasing. But there are children who refuse to do that. Now, if that is the case, that you're not able to bring it down, then seeking professional help is extremely important and at the right time. Even if it is virtual autism, even if the parents feel that nahi, screen देखकर ही, screen की वजह से इसको ऐसा हो रहा है, then also getting the help at the right time matters. Starting therapies for children with virtual autism, if you take therapies for say 3 months, 4 months, children become absolutely fine. Then you can stop the therapies and the child can get back to the mainstream. But if the child has autism spectrum disorder and if we keep believing as parents कि ये शायद virtual autism है, ये अपने आप ठीक हो जाएगा, हम स्क्रीन बंद कर देंगे या हम बाहर लेकर जाएंगे, हम स्कूल लेकर जाएंगे तो शायद ये बच्चा ठीक हो जाएगा और हमें इसको थेरेपी नहीं कराने की जरूरत पड़ेगी, और इस वजह से हम अगले बच्चे के crucial 2 years, 3 years waste कर दें. So then that time does not come back, and by the time you have realized that the screen was just a trigger and it was actually, autism was always there, screen se sirf trigger hua hai, and therefore therapies are mandatory for such children. It is extremely important that you don't waste that crucial golden period of 3 to 5 years, before the child turns 5. So therefore, what I will strongly recommend, step 1, try to minimize screen time as much as possible, right? I know in today's date and time, we can't make it 0. It is not possible. Everyone around us is having screen time. So आप उसको stop या ख़त्म नहीं कर सकते हैं, but उसको minimize and in control रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है, and it starts with the parents. अगर आप as parents always sitting on Instagram हैं in front of your child, then the child will want to do what you are doing. The children are going to copy you, right? So you need to start becoming aware of how do you spend your time. If you take time out and take your children out to the mall, to the play area, to the parks, you spend time reading books to them, you spend time, talking to them or playing with them, games and board games or other fun games, then they will naturally start becoming interested in those games. But if you're on a call all the time in front of the child, on your laptop, on your computer, then you are indirectly, even if you don't want your child to see the screen, but you are showing the way to spend your day is on the screen. So be very careful what you are projecting. Even little children as little as 2 years or 2.5-year-olds catch on to what their parents are doing and what they are talking, right? So therefore you have to be very careful not to have too long a screen time for yourself, specifically when it's your free time. Then try to avoid Insta, try to avoid other social medias so that your children don't get on to the reels, screen activities. Encourage your children to sit with them, talk with them, talk about books, talk about movies, talk about what they are doing, just comment on what they are doing to encourage their language skills. And if in case you feel still nothing is working, children are not talking, they're not responding to you, then carrying on, just just with these tricks is not going to help. So getting to a therapist, getting to the right person who can provide help, whether virtual autism or not, if right help is provided, it will always be beneficial for the child. They will learn to cover the gaps, and they will learn to cope better with their emotions, with their behaviors, if the therapy is provided at the right time. After putting all these things in place, important thing is to observe the child for next 2 or 3 months, and if still you feel that there is a big lag between the other children of the same age and your child, then don't wait. Go out, meet the people, talk to the pediatrician, take suggestions, and then seek the right help, so that if virtual autism, we can bring it back to normal, and if it is autism spectrum disorder, then you get the right help at the right time.